I'm sitting low underneath on my hips, how to attack and isolate, right? Week 2, we worked on some basic defensive stuff, how to get out of mount. Now we're gonna work a slightly more advanced version of mount and a higher mount. So if I'm here, the problem I run into a lot of times is guys can buck and move and get my hips disengaged from their hips. So I don't like to sit in low mount for very long, especially for just jiu-jitsu. MMA, I'm gonna stay pretty low mounted, but for just jiu-jitsu, especially nogi, I like to cheat myself up. So first thing I'm gonna do is get both of his elbows underneath my thighs here. Almost like a wedge. I want to kind of wedge my knees underneath this thigh. Now the easiest way I've always found to scoop myself up is I'm going to come to the top of his head. And I will either prayer grip or here. And I'm just going to walk my knees forward. Here. And I basically want to sit, not quite dick in his face, but like right there. Right? You want to scoop right up in there, right? Just a little bit, right? So I'm sitting right over the top of his solar plexus. The reason I like to sit here is if Austin goes to buck and move and do all sorts of stuff, his hips are moving, I ain't nuts. I've now isolated myself up here. The other thing this does that I like is it scoots his arms up. It gets them away from his body. Because as you guys noticed last week, what's step 1 of mount defense? Elbows in, home alone, right? I don't want him getting my arms away from my body, that's where I'm weak. Right? You don't bench way out here unless you want to look cool. Right? You bench elbows in right here, right? Same thing applies here. He's not very strong from this position. Now, from here, we're going to go to what's called S-mount. Pick a side, any side. I don't care which side you like. I typically am going to use my right leg for the S. And all we're going to do is I'm going to use my right hand to pick up his elbow, lean a little to my left, scoop my right leg underneath his head. Now, this position should be dangerously uncomfortable for Mr. Sears right now. Feel good? He's breathing, but not fun, right? Here's the reason this is nice. Now, I have a couple easy exits to attacks, and all my weight's on his chest right now. My knee's off the ground. Because now if Austin goes to buck and get wild and move, guess what? He can't breathe. It's gonna make life a lot harder. So now we're going to go over a couple different attacks. First one's just going to be the basic arm bar. Find out which arm's on top. Right now it's Austin's. The arm that's on my left side. I'm going to scoop that, not at his elbow. That's a big mistake a lot of us make from mount. We try to attack him at the elbow. I'm going to attack at the wrist. Now, when I'm in S mount, I don't like to fall back for arm bars. I actually like to finish them from top. So I'm going to come here. My shin's going to come on top, and it's tight in a hurry if you do this properly. Now remember, unless you want to walk around wiping your partner's ass, do not rip this, all right? So when I'm here, I lean over and attach this hand. My shin's going to come on top, and I'm going to pinch my knees. Lift up just a little bit, he should tap. Oh, this is coming right on top of his face. Almost like a shin and arm. We worked those before where like you have the shin at the side. Same concept, I'm just putting it across his face because I need more enemies in life and that's a great way to get one. So when I'm here, the benefit of this is his arms are up here, so I can unpack and do what I need to do. But as soon as I attach this here, I'm staying up tall and staying on top. The reason I like this S-mount armbar as opposed to a traditional sitting mount armbar is if I miss this or he starts to drop his arm out, we still have some fun options available to us. So if I'm here and he starts to get his arm out, guess what? Just sit back. Alright? Questions on this? We'll walk through it a few more times. We'll let Austin breathe for a second because it's not a fun position.
I try to do this a lot of times, like you catch that very lean, they'll just flare their elbows like
So I'm here, and Austin realizes that I want to go to S mode, right? He's going to start putting his elbows down and really starting to fight here. My top hand is going to go inside his collar. Guess what? Defend the choke or don't. But either way, I'm going to get something I want. Cosby.
Okay.
You got to quit it, right?
Yeah.
It's some bullshit, but like. But if I'm there, I'm going to force him to bring his arms up one way or another. So if we're uncivilized and we punch people for a living, right, I hit them. If we're civilized and don't wear collars, then I'm going to start trying to choke, do things like that. Walk it up, then once I'm here, then I can sit. Yeah, it may not be as slow of a process. In the gi, a lot of friction, a lot of touch points. I can grab and move things as needed. No gi, it's going to be a little bit harder to get. So the difference is I cannot close my hands. So you have a couple options. One, you can just fist their throat, which I will do occasionally. So you can just go fist to throat. You know, I need more enemies in my life. The only difference is if you go to like the Coke can grip, you cannot close your hand. So you cannot directly grab like the trachea. So what I always recommend is just a jiu-jitsu motion, kind of, but I'm just going to post in plank here. Like I said, and sensitive name is
You really need to. You put the other hand up the back.
So I'm here, right? So I'm here. He's going to be, you know, we're fighting here. Let's say I've attacked that first series, right? We worked 2 weeks ago. Where I've tried to base this arm and it's not working. I'm going to start grabbing collars because that's going to allow me to scoot up. Now I'm here, slight lean here. I'll pick him up with that collars. Help me get my foot underneath.
Yeah, I use the back of the head a lot.
Yeah. Back of the head, collar, there's a couple different grip options there, especially with the gyms. Now I'm here. Start attacking and unpacking arms. Attach this one to your chest. Top side arm bar. Questions on that? Nothing? Need to see it?
On Danny, preferably.
Oh, on Daniel preferably? Daniel.
Daniel had pretty good.
Alright. Yeah, he does. It's children's size, but he does own a gi. So I'm here, I scoop myself up, right? Lean behind the head. Now, he's here. I'm going to unpack his arms. Lean over, hinge. Like I said, this back leg, the shin should be over his face. Because the goal is to be able to attack this. But if we miss, I can still swing back. Foot touching my knee. Now, when I first learned S-mount, it was as a white belt. I learned it from a guy in Atlanta named Kenny Kim. Still has the most impressive thighs I've ever seen on a human being. When he sat in this, one of the biggest details he taught me, and this was 10 years ago, he said, when I sit here, it's not an inactive position for my legs, because it feels like it should be. When I'm here, I'm pinching my knees and my thighs together. Because that's where the true power of S-mount comes from. How comfortable is that?
Not at all.
How comfortable is that?
That's a little better.
Right? Not fun. But the difference, he said, is just that little squeeze brings that discomfort, allows you to do a lot more things. This series is actually from him. I learned it from him. I met him originally here, and then I actually traveled to Atlanta and trained with him. Questions on that? What? So it's probably me not explaining proper. Not for you guys. So I get up here, right? And I get to here. And the problem we're having is a lot of you guys are trying to stay right here and somehow get your shin on his face. When I'm here, I'm rotating myself just that little bit so that I'm pointing towards where the arm is, right? So a lot of us are staying kind of sitting on his chest. Once we get here, we get this arm isolated where I want it. And I'm rotating around that arm to be able to finish. See what I mean? Does that make sense? So instead of my chest and hips pointing this way, I'm rotating just that 90 degrees and attacking this way. All right? Does that make sense? Questions on this? All right. Make that adjustment. We're gonna move on to the. Yeah, it is.
From there, are you leaning a body back or
So from here, I'm gonna post into my hand. So like if I'm here, I'm posting into my hand so that I can drive my hips forward and my chest. Because if he bucks into me real hard, what I want to be able to do is sit back. That's what we're gonna work on next. So like if I'm here and he starts really getting bucking and crazy and tries to start hiding his arms, because one of the more common things you'll see people do is they'll start weaving their arms up. Which I always appreciate, because sometimes in life I don't like people. When they hide their arms like this, it makes my next move very simple. So when I'm here, he stacks his arms, right? That's great. All we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab the bottom arm. If he has the pajamas, you're grabbing that piece of cloth here. If not, you're just grabbing that wrist. And you're gonna pull those straight into your hip with one piece. Right? I'll generally do it like this and pull that in. As soon as that happens, who remembers the should have had a V8 commercials? Right? Where they thump you on the forehead? Thump on the forehead. My shin comes out. My shin then comes in front of him and slaps him in the throat. And I'm putting that there very gently because I like awesome things, right? But when I'm here, I sit him back, block, box, and it comes in. Now, he's got two very adjacent options that he can do. He can keep his head pointed upward and take it like a man and take the choke, right? Or he can turn his chin and I can break his jaw. Whichever he prefers is really up to him. Now, if I'm here and he's fighting it, I can try to turn his face in, but realistically all I'm doing is staying balanced and putting all my weight through my shin bone. Now, if he stays up, all I'm doing is leaning over and doing a crush his throat. He can attack very quickly. You can. I prefer balance here. So the only time I'm really going to start adjusting his head is if I can't get the jaw crush and it's not choking. So I'll use that point, one hand, to start kind of turning the head. But realistically, like if you're doing this and he's not choking, grabbing the back of the head's not the problem. You've done fucked it up.
Have you ever dropped the other leg behind the head?
This one, no, I'm keeping it here. Because here's the thing. Once I'm here, let's say he really is a big guy and starts pushing and doing stuff. I'm going to reset and then start attacking something else. No. I'm going to stay here because this is going to have a lot more options than me stepping this leg under. Questions on this? The good
I
options.
shouldn't say because this is my favorite move in the world.
So, good options, right? One, once you're here, you need to make some very hard and very tough decisions of what you want to defend. Realistically, there's not a good exit down here. But if he starts to do this, your only hope is to get to this elbow and start coming out this side. You want to come out the top of the leg that is pressure. But I'm going to be real honest with you, anyone with balance and flexibility is going to cover. But that is the counter. But as we discussed, I like to teach 70, 30, 80, 20. 80% of the time what I teach you should work. 20% of the time, if you're either going to fuck it up or they're going to know the defense and they're going to be defensive, right? This is one of those moves that if you hit it right, no can defend. It's not an easy move to defend. Who's good now? Hopefully you should be able to beat this by getting down. Push it and stop it. Alright.
Yeah.
So,
Let me get his ballet.
I'll let you start this. Hey, you may be able to hit some poor kid who doesn't know how to fight, but it's not. Alright, so I'm here. I attack the arms, but he stacks them out, right? I'm going to isolate the arms forward, isolate the head backwards. Chin comes out and over. Leaning forward, over my hands. I will generally use the same side hand to adjust his face. If you're looking for a great way to be like, oh man, how do you adjust his face? Hitler. It's a great way to do that.
9.
Put your thumb right under his nose, pick it up, he'll pop his head. Yeah, Hey! Hey! Alright, so I'm here, right? I get to my S mount. We figured that part of it out, right? Let's say we're not confident enough to be like, hey, let's put our shin across his throat, right? But guys are still gonna pack their arms out here, right? It's less than ideal. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm still gonna cheat off to the opposite side of the leg that's under, right? Because most of the time, this is gonna be the arm we're gonna attack. So he's gonna stack his, what is this here? My left side, his right, underneath, right? He's gonna try to hide that. So I'm gonna cheat off to my left side here. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm gonna try to get elbow to elbow and try to scoop his arm behind my head. Here. And all we're gonna do, I'm gonna go wrist to elbow, here. He's smart. He's gonna start packing his arms here. Alright, so I'm here. I can't attack this bottom arm because I can't get it unpacked, right? It's not, most good guys in jiu-jitsu are not gonna let you just, hey, please give me this arm, right? So now I go for this, and let's just say I'm not confident in it. So I'm gonna scoot up and cheat over just that little bit. See how that forces this arm up? Now all I'm gonna do, feed it in, here. Now, elbow to wrist, elbow to wrist. All we're gonna do, pull his arm in and push it around. Very slowly, I know where his arm is, I can comfortably do that a little bit faster. But once you get here, guys, all we have to do is sit up a little bit and turn. One-handed Kimura. I'm here, I'm turning towards his head. So I'm here and turning in. Question.
That only works on the leg that's underneath, right?
If his hand's packed. If his hand's packed the other side,
Well,
I'm gonna arm bar you.
yeah.
Now,
But if we
could I work it this side? Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it worked that side.
Yeah, it works both sides, regardless of what's going on. But if his arm is unpacked this side, like if he packs his hands wrong, which some people will do just instinctively, they'll go to pack their hands, thinking they're in defense, but he packed the wrong one, I'll just attack him. I'm gonna take the arm there.
If they like rat, they got a rat.
But if he goes here, now I'm here.
Okay.
And if he goes to like belly wrap, because you'll see some guys in low mount will like belly wrap to defend there, this still works. So like if he tries to like grab my waist, pretty cool. Especially if I'm already in S mount. Like if I'm in high mount, it's not as effective. Like if he grabs my waist right here, it's still not a good feeling. But if I'm already in S mount, your shoulder's officially mine at that point. Your thought process when you get here is start packing your arms and start protecting your if you're doing the right things. So that's why when I already come to S mount here, he's doing the right thing by hiding this arm. All I'm gonna do, pack here. And now I can attack that as a straight arm, but I'm gonna pack it into my hip because now it's tight. Not a lot of places to go, right? Very slowly, I'm sitting myself back, turning it. Questions on that? So I'm here. I scoop myself up. I go to attack here. He's smart. Attacks. Packs his hands. With a scoop just around that little bit. Comb his hair behind his ear. Pack that in. Elbow to wrist. Elbow to wrist. Close the door. Make sense? Good. Questions, comments, concerns? Key point of emphasis here. Slowly. None of you have good enough shoulders to be ripping and jerking this around. Unless you want to wipe your partner's ass for the next 6 months, because that's about what it takes to come back from the good shoulder injury. Very slowly.
Daniel's moving, so we can go ahead and tear bids.
Oh yeah, I'll rip Daniels out for him today. Just fuck
He
him.
said what?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 1,